What happened to that childhood actor is something that you might wonder frequently when you see a movie from your youth. You wonder, why did they stop acting? Where did they go? Maybe they went to college, and maybe they became an architect or an accountant. Maybe they decided to get into producing or theater. Maybe they just burn out. Maybe they just stopped getting jobs. But rarely is it that a childhood actor disappears because they actually disappeared. Childhood actor Joe Pichler disappeared in January 2006, seemingly without a trace. You might remember him from the movies Beethoven II and Varsity Blues. His disappearance is a mystery, and there's been no explanation. Nobody knows what happened to him. Let's dive into his disappearance. Let's get spooky. Hey, spooky people, it's your best friend Kenny here. And today we are back with another disturbing story. This one on the bizarre and tragic disappearance of a childhood actor from the 90s. But before we get into this story, let's make sure that you're subscribed to this channel, The Spooky Lawyer. Like and share this video. Share this video with your favorite influencer. Just send them a link, say, hey, check this out. Kenny's cool. We could be a spooky influencer. You guys could do a spooky collab. Might be fun. I would appreciate that. Joe Pichler's name was synonymous with the adorable charm of a childhood actor, but it is now tragically linked to a bizarre mystery. His short life was marked by early success in Hollywood, but then he disappeared suddenly, and his family has no closure, no explanation to what happened to him. Joseph Edward Pichler was born on February 14th, 1987, in Bremerton, Washington. He was described as a bright, outgoing, and energetic child, and his family recognized that he was talented and had a natural charisma early on. His family life, by all accounts, was loving and supportive. In the early 1990s, the Pichler family moved to Los Angeles to support Joe's acting aspirations. He quickly landed roles and was showcasing his natural talent on screen. Joe's career took off in the mid-1990s, and he became a recognizable face, particularly for a younger audience. You might remember his role in Beethoven II. Remember the Beethoven's movies with the big, drooly, smelly dog? He was in the sequel, Beethoven II. This was his breakout role. He played Brennan Newton, the youngest son in the Newton family. In this popular sequel to the family comedy Beethoven, his role cemented his image as a relatable child actor. He would go on to star in other Beethoven's movies and other movies targeting children, until he would later be in a movie called Varsity Blues. Joe played Kyle Moxon, the younger brother of Mox, the main character played by James Vanderbeek in Varsity Blues. This was a iconic 1990s coming-of-age movie. It was a smaller role than his roles in other child movies, but it showcased his range and his ability to act in a more mature setting. It seemed like a bridge role that would bridge him into getting more serious, more mature roles. Joe also appeared in several television series and movies, including The Client, where he played Kyle McDear, a recurring character in this legal drama based on the John Grisham novel. He was in Touched by an Angel, where he had a guest appearance. He was in Shiloh 2, Shiloh Season, which was another family-friendly movie, and Music from Another Room, which was a romantic comedy which featured Joe in a supporting role. During his acting years, Joe came off as a well-adjusted child actor. He appeared in interviews, often alongside his family, projecting an image of a happy and grounded young person despite the pressures of being a child actor in Hollywood. He seemed to genuinely enjoy acting and connect with his co-stars. As Joe grew older, his roles transitioned from the cute kid image to more adolescent characters. Varsity Blues hinted at this shift. However, by the early 2000s, his acting career was seemingly slowing down. And while this is common for child actors, it could have potentially contributed to mental health issues or feelings of uncertainty or pressure or depression that he may have had. Sometime after 2001, the Pichler family moved back to their home state of Washington, settling back in Bremerton and then later in Tacoma. Joe, in his late teens, was no longer actively pursuing acting with the same intensity. He was attending high school and seemingly navigating the challenges of being a teenager. By January 2006, Joe was 18 and living in Tacoma. He was no longer working as an actor, and he was likely dealing with the transition from being a child actor to an adult outside the Hollywood spotlight. On January 3rd, 2006, Joe reportedly had dinner with a friend, and this is believed to be the last confirmed sighting of him. January 5th, 2006 is considered the date of his disappearance. Everything from here becomes fragmented. Sometime in the first week of January, his 2005 Toyota Corolla was found abandoned near the 11th Street Bridge in Tacoma, Washington. The bridge spans the Theophos Waterway, a section of Puget Sound. The car was locked. Inside the car was Joe's wallet and his cell phone. Police also discovered a note left behind in the car that was reportedly written by Joe. The exact contents of the note have never been publicly released by law enforcement, but its general content has been described as despondent. There have been suggestions that it contained language expressing a desire to be a bigger person and alluded to feelings like he wasn't measuring up or fulfilling expectations. It also reportedly mentioned financial struggles. However, it was not explicitly a self-harming note in the traditional sense. It was ambiguous and simply troubled in tone. The Tacoma police began investigating Joe's disappearance as a missing person case. The discovery of the abandoned car and the note was obviously concerning. Police and volunteers launched searches in the area surrounding the 11th Street Bridge and the Theophos Waterway. These searches involved land searches. Police searched the park and areas near the bridge on foot. Water searches. Dive teams and boats were deployed to search the Theophos Waterway for any sign of Joe. And there were air searches. Helicopters were deployed to scan the shoreline and surrounding areas. Despite these extensive search efforts, no sign of Joe Pichler was ever found. He seemingly vanished without a trace. Law enforcement has consistently maintained that the case of Joe Pichler is an active and ongoing missing person case. They have never officially declared him deceased or closed their investigation. The case is puzzling, though, because it's riddled with contradictions, unanswered questions, and strange clues. For example, the note was described as despondent, but has been also described as not a self-harming note. So what was the note? Was it a cry for help? Was it a reflection of temporary distress? Was it a letter that was meant to be left somewhere else as a goodbye note when he was attempting to get away from his current life? His abandoned car is again strange, along with his belongings. Leaving behind a car and a wallet and a cell phone is highly unusual for someone planning to start a new life or run away intentionally. It very strongly suggests that the disappearance was not planned or voluntary. The location where his car was found, the 11th Street Bridge, and its proximity to the Theophos Waterway naturally led investigators to consider the possibility of Joe entering the water. However, there's no evidence to confirm this, and searches of the waterway have been unsuccessful and have never found his body. Joe was close with his family and friends, and his complete absence of contact with anyone after his disappearance is deeply concerning and unusual, especially in the age of cell phones. And even if he had left his cell phone behind, he could have always found another cell phone and attempted to find ways to communicate later. He could have dropped a postcard. He could have sent a text message. He could have sent a Facebook message. However, there's been no communication from Joe Pichler since he disappeared. And also, despite the fact that there have been searches and a significant amount of media attention, there have been no credible witnesses who have ever come forward with information about seeing Joe Pichler around the time of his disappearance or any time after his disappearance. He's never been seen anywhere. And this is a guy who is somewhat well known. He was in Varsity Blues. Given the circumstances, there have been several theories that have emerged surrounding Joe's disappearance. Self-unaliving. This is the most commonly discussed theory, driven by the note and the location at the bridge. The idea being Joe, feeling overwhelming or depressed, may have self-unalived by entering the Theophos Waterway. However, there's no body to confirm this. The note was ambiguous and lacked any self-unaliving intent. And also, Joe never demonstrated any bouts of severe depression or unaliving tendencies to his friends or family prior to his disappearance. Another theory is accidental death. It's possible Joe could have accidentally fallen into the water, perhaps due to intoxication or disorientation, or simply slipping, considering it was a cold January day in Tacoma, Washington. However, no body has ever been recovered, and there's again this note that's the problem. Some people believe it may have been foul play. Now, while there isn't much evidence to support this, it can't entirely be ruled out in any missing person case. Is it possible that someone could have harmed Joe and disposed of his body somewhere that hasn't been found? The fact that his wallet and cell phone were left behind suggests that he did not take them wherever he was going. And in the event of an intentional disappearance or an accident, he likely would have had those items on him. And again, leaving behind his car, his wallet, his cell phone, along with a note, is not typical behavior for someone intending to start a new life. The note might hint at a desire to escape something, but the practicalities of disappearing without any resources or any contact or any witnesses make the scenario seemingly unlikely. The lack of answers has been incredibly difficult for Joe's family and friends. Obviously, they've lived for years with the uncertainty of not knowing what happened to him. And the open nature of the case means that they continue to hope for information while simultaneously grappling with the possibility of never knowing the truth. There is no closure here for his family and friends. There is no closure for the people who loved him. For many who grew up in the 90s, you would recognize him from movies that you had seen him in. However, now his disappearance overshadowed his acting career. If you Google him, stories about his disappearance comes up without many stories about his actual acting career, what he was able to achieve as a child actor. Joe Pichler is a prominent example of a long-term missing person mystery, and it highlights the profound pain and uncertainty experienced by families of missing individuals and the limitations of even extensive investigations. What do you think happened to Joe Pichler? Do you think he ran away and started a new life? Did you think he self-unalived? Do you think there was foul play involved or an accident? Let me know in the comments. Make sure you're subscribed to this channel, The Spooky Lawyer. Again, please like this video. Please share this video. Make sure that you're following me on Blue Sky and TikTok. My username is akbrews. Make sure you're following me on Twitter. My username is akbrews there as well. There is a super thanks button in the YouTube toolbar. Click that if you would like to make a donation to the channel. If you make a donation to the channel, any money that gets donated to the channel goes back into the channel to create better, more interesting content. I have a whole bunch of great ideas for videos that I want to shoot. Any donations will help make that more likely to happen. If there is a spooky and disturbing story you would like me to cover, please send me an email. My email address is thespookylawyer@gmail.com. I appreciate your support. I appreciate you watching my videos and sharing my videos. And of course, please stay spooky.